What's up guys, Coach Matt here, Lions Den Elite Training, and today I'm just going to cover a really common problem people have with the low bar squat, and that's just elbow pain, elbow tendonitis, any sort of discomfort while we're low bar squatting. So first things first, if you are currently experiencing elbow pain in low bar squat, don't freak out. It's nothing too serious. We're just adding a little bit of pressure to our elbow joint as we're going down in the squat. We take that pressure off, we'll get rid of the pain, be back to normal in the gym. Essentially our goal here is just to put as much weight from the bar into our back as physically possible, as opposed to holding all that weight in position with our arms up. So obviously our back, our core, our legs is going to be able to bear that much weight. If we're holding it in position with our arms, we're kind of relying on those smaller joints to hold the weight in place. So we're going to go over two things to kind of keep that weight in place with our bigger muscles and not put all that pressure down on our elbows or wrist or shoulder. So two ways we can kind of achieve reducing that pressure on the elbow. First thing we're going to look at is just going to be our torso angle coming down and back out of the squat. That one's a bit more objective. Can't really play around with that too much, so I'll go over that first. Next is going to be grip width, kind of paired with our elbow positioning. So we're talking narrow or wide, and then also how tight we're kind of driving our elbows into our sides here. That one's going to be a bit more subjective. We can kind of play around with that a bit more, so we'll go over that one second.
Okay guys, so the first thing we need to address is bar positioning on our back. We determine torso angle by the bar being over mid-foot throughout the movement, so if the position of the bar on your back is wrong, our torso angle is also going to be wrong. Bar position for a low bar squat should be just below the spine of the scapula, and if you actually feel around on your back, it's that fairly large protrusion towards the top of your scapula. You can't really miss it. Once we have that position, our real delts will also kind of help to create a little small shelf for it to sit on as well. So a common error that you'll see that could contribute to your elbow pain right off the bat would be taking the low bar a bit too seriously and having that bar way down low in your back. This position really doesn't allow for us to create a shelf for the bar, and you can actually see even with the empty bar here, it's still sliding down my back, so you can only imagine what adding weight will do to that. This is going to force us to hold the bar in position with our arms alone, and of course that's going to put a lot of pressure on the shoulders, wrists, and of course our elbow, which is going to contribute to that pain. Alright, now that we've got that bar position down, we can talk about torso angle. First off, we have to get comfortable with the fact that there's going to be forward lean in a low bar squat. A lot of people still have the high bar mentality and kind of keep an upright torso when they're first learning their low bar squat. This can run us into problems not only with elbow pain, but also with our total power output. The bar should be over mid-foot throughout the movement, and this is going to determine your personal torso angle. I can't really tell you what that looks like for you. General rule of thumb here is going to be a smaller torso and longer legs is going to lead to a more aggressive forward lean, and then a longer torso and shorter legs will kind of lead to a more upright position. But just film yourself from the side, make sure the bars are mid-foot, and that's going to be the torso angle for you. What we have right here is just an example of being too eager to get upright out of the hole, and this is going to run us into two problems. From a strength standpoint, we're going to miss that hip drive out of the bottom of the hole, which is going to limit how much weight we can lift overall. But in terms of the way it kind of contributes to our elbow pain, is we're allowing the chance for the pressure of the bar to shift off of our backs and more into our arms. Our torso angle is crucial in terms of keeping the pressure of the weight on our back. Unlike the high bar squat where the bar kind of rests on the traps the entire time, the bar isn't truly able to rest on anything unless we've got that forward lean going. So once we know we've got our torso angle right, the second thing we can kind of play around with would be our grip width and our elbow positioning. Now, while you can't really customize your torso angle, this is where you're going to get a bit more liberty to try different things. Right away, if you are currently experiencing elbow pain, I'd suggest going to a wider grip, and then also not worrying about how far your elbows are tucked into your sides. Just as long as they're not pointing straight back at the wall behind you, you're going to be good there. And this is almost going to instantly take pressure off your elbows, so try this out first. You've probably heard time and time again people saying narrow grip and having your elbows tucked down right next to your side generates as much back tightness as possible, and I'd say this is completely true. Problem is, this is also the position that will generate the most elbow pressure. The narrower the grip, the more we're kind of able to tuck our elbows down under ourselves, and the more we kind of tuck them down under ourselves, the more weight we're going to end up having to support on them. So what we can do to kind of combat this problem is start out the wider grip and slowly work our way into a narrow grip. This will kind of allow our body time to develop the mobility for it, get used to the pressure at each position, and overall just get used to the change slowly over time instead of just hopping right into that narrow position. Same thing goes for our elbow positioning. As long as they're not pointed back at the wall behind you, you're probably good. The ideal position is just going to be in line with your torso. So if you want to slowly work your way into a tighter position there, just work your way into in line with your torso. You don't need to go any further than that. It can actually cause too much pressure and it's just not needed.
So that's it, guys. That's this week's video. Remember those two things, our torso angle and then our grip width and our elbow positioning. Torso angle is kind of non-negotiable. That bar has got to be over midfoot the entire way through the reps. I can't tell you what that's going to look like. So depending on your torso height and then your leg length, it's going to look different for everybody. So just remember, film yourself from the side, make sure that bar is over midfoot. In terms of that grip and elbow positioning, that's where you're going to be able to play around a bit. If it's really bothering you, I'd say start out wide, work your way into that narrow grip. Do it nice and slow, don't just try and jump right into that narrow grip. In terms of those elbows, we just got to keep them nice and tucked to our side and in line with our torso as we're coming down. There's no need to tuck them under any more than that to the point that we're pointing them straight down at the ground. But if either of those is still hurting you, completely fine to have them pointed back a little bit. We just don't want them wrenched all the way up, pointing straight back towards the wall behind us. So that's it, guys. That's this week's video. I'll see you next week.